Hello. It's May the 7th. I haven't had like a psychotic episode meltdown thing since April 13th. That was the strike on Syria by Donald Trump. And then Justin Trudeau saying that we would follow Donald Trump into war in a matter of speaking. So that kind of triggered a psychosis because when I was 19 years old and I first started developing these like intense delusions, I believed that I was a prophet, and so that kind of just like triggered this psychosis, and that lasted a few days, and then I went into Buffy the Vampire Slayer for 3 days because my second delusion was that I'm going to bring Buffy the Vampire Slayer back. Those are my core delusions. So yeah, I'm a maladaptive daydreamer with schizoaffective disorder. So I have an overactive imagination and a second mind running that I communicate back and forth with. So you can just imagine the wacky shenanigans. But I've been doing really well. I've lost 17 pounds. I've been doing a lot of cardio, doing strength training now, and I've been eating really well. I'm trying to get back to where I was a couple years ago before my major depressive disorder, if that's what it is. I don't know, I didn't really get a diagnosis or any medication or even get to see a doctor after my suicide attempt. I was just sent home with a belly full of pills to walk home because it was circumstantial, my suicide attempt, whatever that means. I think it means that I'm poor. I'm impoverished in Canada, so I'm just a really long number at the bottom of a list, and some people just belong in the community. So, but I was triggered into like a little bit of a psychosis the other night because of Chechnya. So I'm gonna pull out the prophet thing, and talk about Chechnya. So Romans 1 allows homosexuality to be here on this earth. So Romans 1, I think it's 18 or 16 to 32. It's very judgy, the diction, but also in Romans 1:8, Paul breaks the first commandment, so we can overlook all of that. Someone would say, how does he break the first commandment? And I would say, well, he prays through Jesus. Now, Jesus did say you cannot go to God through any man but me, but God said no gods before him. So if you're praying through Jesus, you're going through him, so he's before God. And no gods as a man, sure, I'll grant you that loophole, but not as a God. Moving forward, it's very judgy. But it was also 2,000 years ago, written by a cisgender heterosexual male who used to stone gays to death, or who would stone gays to death. So it's allowed to be very judgy. But it pretty much says, unnatural sex and sinful desires such as drag. Things that you're not supposed to, that aren't, 100% with the universe. And he says, here's my hand, they're over there. He hands them over to it. Go have that. There is the due penalty, which if we Google penalty, in sports, it's just a disadvantage or a handicap. So, you make errors, you're going to end up with a penalty. And like the pride thing, where they're just like, I don't make errors, because they have so much pride, right? Which is just part of the further disadvantage for not keeping God in mind as like the Almighty God, which is depravity until the end of the eon. Our kids won't have the same problems, so they won't be the same at all. I'm not depraved. Glory Hole 2 starring Goblin Dicks, you're not depraved. Moving forward, next on the option, and that's not being sex negative at all. I'm incredibly sex positive. So Romans 2 is where it says that so you cannot judge these people, the gays, which is all part of the depravity. It's just so that they judge you. It all works out in the end. God is a good guy. So it's, his kindness is supposed to teach you kindness. His compassion is supposed to teach you compassion. His mercy is supposed to teach you mercy. And so when I see what's happening in Chechnya right now, which is predominantly Muslim out there, but then I see stuff like Alabama with Beauty and the Beast, and what is that place? North Carolina with like anti-transgender bills, and gay guys getting beat up in the street and all that shit. I think like, you're gonna get tossed off God's balcony in like an instant, because your transgressions will not go unpunished, and it's very clear. In this situation, you're the Jew, because remember, that's all it really was. God's people were the Jews, and we're the Gentile, and you're supposed to treat us, fairly. You're supposed to treat us like your neighbor, like we're friends, and you don't. So I just had to bring that up. I think that's everything. Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's everything. Oh yeah, 17 years old, getting tossed off a balcony. So the end of childhood is 18 to 21 years old. So when you transition out of childhood, is somewhere between 18 and 21. It's all based on where everything is in the sky when you're born, the exact moment. And then you transition into full blown adulthood between 27 and 29. So 17, not cool to toss a 17-year-old off a roof or a balcony or whatever they're doing out there. Islam, totally different story. I love telling this story. It's my favorite story to tell. Na, 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 the fucking jinn and all that shit in that story. It's a good story to tell. Another day. That's my video for today. Chechnya, you Grotsky Biotch. I'm gonna call you Caddy, Mr. Caddy Grove. I don't think my father, creator of the universe, would be too pleased with this. That's it. I had to quote Mean Girls because it has to be done.